Maybe come around to the back.
Look to the left and cough.
The original Lykan Hypersport is based completely on the RUF CTR3 platform. However, in building this car with Genius Garage, we decided to simply keep the McPherson suspension at Donut Media. Guys, no hard feelings. I like your channel, and I think you all should come to Ohio and drive the Genius Garage Lykan Hypersport. It's time to get back to the Lykan Hypersport. It's the end of the day. Some of the students are gone. We've been working on it today. I want you guys to see where it's at. And I just fixed my shifter bushing in the Gallardo, which required taking the whole bottom apart. And here's a picture of how super jank the previous owner's guy assumingly fixed it. So I'm happy to have fixed it, yes, because the little bushing is not available. And that's why it's nice to be able to fabricate, and that's why I enjoyed so much being able to bring this Lykan Hypersport Fast and the Furious stunt car body and build it into a real car, even paying great homage to the originals, built with lots of the same stuff. And that fabrication is what gave the students such an excellent curriculum and experience with it. But truthfully, this car has been a very much longer time in the making than we originally hoped for. And that was largely because all of last year, it was away for paint. And at Genius Garage, we're not really set up to do professional level paint as well. I can shoot paint pretty good, but not at the level here. And Genius Garage is really more about engineering. So I wanted you guys kind of have the opportunity to see it. Right now, it's still a little bit more of an ugly duckling stage. If you can come up and come here and take a closer look. But the paint is exquisite. It's absolutely beautiful. All the composite work is spectacular. It's just laser straight. And just really proud and honored by what they did with it, even down to all of the details here, as well as even the stainless screen that was painted beautifully to match the originals here. One of the things you'll notice is the original high discharge headlights we have to make bespoke. And so here it is, mounted on aluminum. It's all have to be hand fabricated with it. And then of course put in to make one-off headlights, which is a great project by one of the students there. And then also the daytime running lights, shall we say, and markers. But we still have to make the headlight lenses and get that in place. And of course the doors are opening and shutting beautifully with the engineering and fabrication of what the students did the year before last, and then also help from the paint shop that was so kind as to do this. But they just open and shut beautifully. And again, if you look at all the paint, even the door jambs, and there's a little dust and dirt here because we're working on it. It's all just exquisitely beautiful. And then you've got OEM Porsche type latches and such that then bolt directly to the frame and unibody and structure of the car. So really the work and craftsmanship that went in is, and you can see how nicely done the latches are here in the door, just like that. It's so well done. This really just goes in to show how much love went into it with the students, and then of course the body shop. And the fact that we could take a body that came from the original Lykan Hypersport molds, so it's all exactly correct, and build it into a car was really exciting, because this body was never meant to be a production car. It was just rode hard and put away wet in the Fast and Furious movie and stunt show. But one of the things that I think a lot of you don't realize, and there's a few trolls out there that are like, "Duh, it's a kit car." Well, first of all, they don't know jack squat about building cars, clearly. But the original Lykan Hypersport, and maybe, Gavin, come on over here. I want to be able to show you some of the area here of the unibody. The original Lykan Hypersport is based completely on the RUF CTR3 platform. Now, the RUF CTR3 platform is largely just Porsche. So, the original Lykan Hypersports and the RUF CTR3, from the firewall here, because it's a mid-engine car, the firewall forward, it's all Porsche, with the exception of a little bit of tubing, creating the roof structure and all. And this unibody that you see here is identical in the 911s and the Boxster variants. Of course, for Genius Garage, we utilize the later Boxster variant and chassis platform because it's already a mid-engine configuration, the same way that the Lykan Hypersport with W Motors was. And it was really exciting when we discovered that, because when we first started the build, we didn't realize all of that. And our first huge clue that we were so excited about is, you can see the underside of the hood here has this area that's clearly meant to seal on weather stripping, which perfectly mates to the trunk or frunk on the Porsche. Perfectly, for a reason. because the RUF CTR3 is in fact just Porsche from that position forward, with the exception of extra tubing structure. Now the tubing that some of you may have remembered with Genius Garage, and I'm thinking here, maybe Gavin, if you kind of get down low and just shoot up toward the ceiling just a little bit, you guys can see that the tubing here, the structure, virtually identical to the Lykan Hypersports. And what we did, and Gavin, you can come up here and look again. So you can see here that the A pillar, this comes in and pretty sophisticatedly mates to the unibody. And that's exactly how RUF did it. Done exactly the same way at Genius Garage. Of course, all the tubing has to be hand bent and made nice. Now at the body shop, one thing some of you will notice, if you come on back here, you guys get to see it with its pants down and dusty. Maybe come around to the back.
Look to the left and cough.
Anyway, there's a big tube here. That was added by the guys at the body shop who also do Porsche Racing Cup Series such. So they added some added bracing from the roll structure up here, which isn't just roll structure, it's part of the chassis, which massively increases its torsional rigidity. So two tubes coming from here down, and then this one also ties in the top of the shock tower area, making it a lot stiffer. If you run over here with me, and I did this as a much quicker job on my own project, but you can see it better in my King Zero build some of you have been following. But I utilized Porsche Boxster platform for this as well. Of course, I have a BMW V12 in it and coach building it and slam it on the ground. But you can see here to the top of the shock towers, I tied in with this steel tubing and triangulated it here. So with the Lykan, went with the larger round steel tubing, similar to the RUF structure. But let's talk about the RUF CTR3 and the Lykan Hypersport from the firewall back. Now, the CTR3 from there back is no longer Porsche in terms of the frame. It has big trunnions, which are effectively round tube, kind of permanent A-arms, if you will, where it becomes more tubular frame. And also the rear of a CTR3 has push rod rear suspension with inboard shocks, which actually is very similar to this RCR or Race Car Replica's SLC chassis. Now this is an old chassis that I recently acquired, and it was used, I believe, as one of the McLaren P1s in the Need for Speed movie. But you can see here how it's got these very beautiful billet aluminum bulkheads here, tying in some nodes and some strong points. Of course, it's got a push rod coming from the lower A-arm. You can probably see if you come back here a little bit better. The push rod for the lower A-arm. So if you jump up and down on this, you can see it working this bell crank here. Can you see that? You haven't show the bell crank from here?
Well, I jump up and down on it like an idiot.
So it pushes the bell crank and pushes the shock. Now on the CTR3 and original Lykan Hypersport, the bell crank is oriented in a different way and the shocks come transverse this way. They're still the same in functionality, but it's interesting because the rear of that car, like I said on the CTR3 as well as the Lykan Hypersport, is very similar to this configuration. And there's some added positives to it. However, in building this car with Genius Garage, we decided to simply keep the McPherson suspension of the Porsche Boxster because you got a very nice structure here designed by Porsche. The McPherson packages it well. Obviously plenty rigid enough and perfect enough to race. And of course, it already has the McPherson suspension on the front. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with what McPherson is, again, I'm going to bring you back to the SLC chassis. And Gavin, if you kind of come around to the back here. This is a typical upper and lower A-arm suspension. Here's your lower A-arm down here, this one here, and this is the upper one. Now they're kind of funny shapes, but basically what this is doing is by having the A-arm connect to the chassis at 2 points here instead of just one, that makes it so that A-arm cannot go forwards or back. Obviously it goes up and down because that's what suspension does. And then with this A-arm, it cannot go forwards or back. So if you think of my arm from here to here as the big wheel is right here and attached, this cannot go back or forth, and this cannot go back or forth, so it's locked in. So the only thing it can now do is go up and down and turn like this. But it's locked in from being able to turn because there's this tie rod. And in the rear suspension, that allows you to change the toe in and toe out. And then of course your relation from here, if you lean this back, you'll change your caster angle. And if you lean this in, you'll change your camber angle, but that's something for a different talk. But there's an upper A-arm and lower A-arm, dual A-arm configuration. But if you look here at the King Zero again, I think this will give you guys an idea to know its suspension. Let me see if I can pull some of these panel's off. I'm still working on it. Now, McPherson suspension is really good for a number of reasons. And if you look here, there is a lower A-arm, which is indicated down here, but there is no upper A-arm. The suspension moves up and down, and the top of the shock is mounted rigidly to the chassis. So this wheel can in fact turn, you see that here? And the shock twists and it turns, and it can go up and down, although it's pretty stiff. And what that does is there's no upper A-arm. And in cars such as this, because of that, you have a lot more room and space to work with in your cockpit. Or in the case of perhaps the Porsche having McPherson suspension in the rear, you have more room to work with in terms of your engine bay, etc. Now, obviously, if RUF built the CTR3 using all of the Porsche chassis from the firewall forward, including the front, which is identical in the 911 and Boxster, it must not suck. That's a truth that can be said. And also, the rear end of a Boxster, it does not suck. And most every Porsche person knows that a Boxster, if you get a little more rigidity, if it wasn't a soft top, or a Cayman, if you put a big motor in it, it will demolish a 911. So, of course, we started with that. And that's the exact platform we have here. It's been elongated slightly to get the wheelbase for the Lykan Hypersport. And of course, you have all of the tubular structure of the roof, the pillars, and the extra rigidity here. So what Genius Garage students have done engineering-wise, they've taken an already awesome engineering platform of the Boxster, made it far more torsionally rigid, and because it's a mid-engine layout, it's superior to a 911 in terms of its ability to handle and such. Of course, this has adjustable coilover suspension on it, and I am going to say this. I think I'm about the only person, private person or media anywhere, who's gotten to drive the real Lykan Hypersport at speed, as well as the Fenrir Super Sport. And this isn't a dig, but my world in life has been racing and setting up race cars and building and getting them to be balanced. And the Genius Garage car right now, I drove it on the track, and I drove both the real cars at speed. It is currently better balanced than the original Lykan Hypersport and the Fenrir Super Sport right now. This is much more neutral, and those cars are set up soft and they understeer a lot. Of course, that can be tuned differently, but they don't have a race builder there. So I hope one day I get to go back with the company. I'd love to tune those cars as well as this. But where I'm going with this, and this is the reason it's so exciting for me of what Genius Garage did, and maybe Gavin, you want to come around this way, we can look at the back of it together. This platform is spectacular. It's torsionally rigid. It bases off of the Porsche engineering. Come on back here, let's look at the back together. And I have a sneaking suspicion when we weigh this, it will be lighter than the original cars, which is exciting because that means now one thing. If we, or whoever owns this car in the future, decides to throw a new motor at it with a lot more power and wanted to bolt on much bigger brakes, I know that this car can outperform the original because I'm certain it's lighter and it's already balanced better on the track because we put in an effort setting it up. So I'm very excited about that, and the paint quality is absolutely superb. Now, one thing we didn't yet do, and I don't think we're going to with Genius Garage right now, the rear wing here, which raises up, it uses, in the original one, it still uses the same wiring of what was the Boxster, the 911, come up at speed for the equate, but currently we have it bolted rigid. It's not really that important, to be honest. So in terms of the functionality, and for us at Genius Garage, we wanted to keep the car lightweight. We wanted to have it be very strong, very beautiful, and last a long time. So that was something we decided not to do in this circumstance. So right now the guys, we're busy, got to clean it all up from the body shop. You know how it is, things get dusty. So we're going to be detailing all that up. All the louvers and pieces and everything are going back in, and things are going to be tweaked and fitted finally and perfect. And of course the interior, Gavin, if you want to look inside yours, let's look at the rear firewall area. So the guys today, we're doing a great job picking up where students left off last year. So this is our firewall here, which is in front of the Porsche, which is aluminum. We have this panel here, which can be removed to service the front of the engine. And of course, starting to do a very nice sound deadening and heat absorption. So they're going to keep working on that. So the entire car, including the roof and all, will have the sound deadening and such in it. Obviously, being Porsche, we still retain the climate control system from the Boxster in it. So it's quite nice. And that's what's going on right now, you guys. But it's really a spectacular car. I'm really thankful you guys all have watched, and for everybody that's shown support either in the comments or reached out or helped the Genius Garage students and Genius Garage's effort. I hope you're enjoying this, but the car is coming to a close. I'm looking forward to showing you guys more of the students that were a big part of it. Tonight, it was the end of the evening now from working and helping, and we were all jamming and working hard. So I wanted to bring you along and show you what's going on. But it really is an amazing car, and it's a pretty awesome feat what all the students did last, let's say the year before last. So I hope you're excited about that. And we do have a grand finale coming up with this car. So let's just say, I hope there'll be some well-heeled people out there that would like a very shiny, very special car in their collection and might be feeling extra saucy. And I hope that it comes out ahead for Genius Garage in the future and what projects we got. We already have a really exciting project lined up for Genius Garage next year. And if you want to come over this way, I'll show you another thing. So I'm excited about that build. We've got, of course, the Lotus Exosphere, the Daytona prototype, and our beloved yellow Corvette has been shelved for a while. So, and the other thing, quite frankly, when the Lykan's done, I look forward to it because the back of the shop here is where we're going to do our dirty fabrication or work and big building. Or Genius Garage storage. And then, of course, if you walk with me, Genius Garage is up front. So I've been working hard over the last good number of months to make it, but this front room, we're getting closer, will be Genius Garage Central. And of course, we have the Unicorn Daytona prototype. This is the fastest, nastiest Daytona prototype ever created. And there were only two with this BMW V10 engine in it. And of course, we have the Lotus Exosphere, which is Formula One tech and very brilliant. So we're looking forward to going over this, getting it all just so, getting it out testing, and of course, going for a race. We were going to race this in July of this year. However, my wife and I are having our first child at that time. So I will not be going racing in July. There's a little bit more important things. So we'll be doing that stuff afterward, but we're working on it. Anybody wants to know more about Genius Garage, you can check out the site, geniusgarageracing.com. It's 501c3. I formed a long time ago to help launch careers in engineering and mechanic, tech, and race engineering, all that jazz. It's been very successful at it. So it was a lot of work, blood, sweat, and tears, literally. But it's mattered and it's launched a lot of careers. So if you see or know in any way that you can help the program, it takes a community to come together and do something good. I can put the effort in and have the idea, but I really appreciate you all watching and supporting, of course. So there's the Lykan. It's going to be done soon. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Oh, and also, at Donut Media, guys, no hard feelings. I like your channel, and I think you all should come to Ohio and drive the Genius Garage Lykan Hypersport. But anyway, guys, heckle them a little bit. I think we should do something cool together and collaborate. But that's it. Even if they don't, it's still going to be a lot of fun, and everything will work out in the end. So I'll see you guys next time.